favorite show, Identities, Umhlobo, where we are talking especially about things that affect us, things that affect our livelihoods, things that affect our social, our economic, and everything about our lives. We love to talk to you about how we are managing, especially in the times where we've learned to live with the pandemic COVID-19. I have Mr Tsuro in the studio from ZNCWC. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you, Nyari, and thank you for inviting me to this program around children issues, around COVID. My name is Tsuro from Zimbabwe National Council for the Welfare of the Children. I am the program manager.
Welcome again. And we have not dedicated any episode ever since the developments, and yes, we have spoken about girls and women, especially as far as gender-based violence was concerned. But today, Mr. Tsuro, we want to hear about the situation of children. Especially, maybe you can start by telling us, Kuti, the global, how has it been for the globe, and maybe before we lower down to where we are as Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Nyari. The COVID pandemic has not spared children in all the countries in the world, in the sense that if the parents are already affected, then the children are affected. Firstly, some parents have been infected with the virus, and then that means at home the situation is not going to be the same anymore. Some of the parents are no longer going to work, and it means that the home, the situation, the children are no longer going to be enjoying what they have been enjoying over the years. If you look at the issues that many children are now concentrated in the home, there are many issues that come up.
Having children around in the COVID pandemic where they are spending so much time with their parents. Yeah. What has been the situation around that?
Yes, we find that the children's, if you look at children, we are looking at ECD around education. We are looking at ECD, children in early childhood education. We are looking at children in primary, children in secondary. We can also go to the youth in the university. All these people are affected. But what is important is that there are also children with disabilities that are also infected. What are the issues? Children, especially in ECD, like to learn through playing. Now with COVID, children are no longer having the room to play. And the room to play is now the home. When the parents want to order here and there, that is a conflict situation, which requires that people quickly get used to it. And I hope parents are getting used to it. The world over, it's not only about Zimbabwe.
Absolutely.
It's also the world over.
Right.
And then if you look at the children being in the home, then we are starting to see some violence issues that are coming up, which are not good for children's learning.
Right.
Which is not good for children's rights. And then there are some sexual abuses that are coming up. And these, remember, the perpetrator to sexual abuse can be anyone. It can be anyone in the family, outside. Now, if there is one in the family, then the situation becomes bad. The situation for girls, my dear, is very, we need to make sure that girls are getting the attention that they need in terms of especially those who are in secondary and upper secondary. They need to have their sanitary pads. They need to have to career guidance issues. They need, all these needs to come, and all these because they are at the home. It is now the parent who is responsible for this, and this places a bigger chunk of issues on the parents.
How are parents coping, in your opinion? I mean, you have just painted the reality right now to say now more than ever it's almost like face the nation, where parents are having to face their children, and the children having to face their parents, and they have to spend significant time with each other, which is usually not much, because usually it's like, oh, children at home, they're on holiday, and there's that comfort to say, oh, they're on holiday, they can leave the house, go and play. But now they're having to be at home, minimize the playing because of COVID and interacting with others, but also the reality that this child is not on holiday. This child is supposed to be learning. This child is supposed to be going to school. How are parents consolidating all that?
Firstly, we see that the children, I would always want to categorize the ECD primary and secondary so that we tailor make our activities towards this. We see that the children in the ECD need more play time. So maybe parents can look for more play materials for their children so that they can attend to, they can learn through those, using those materials. I'm not saying that all the toys need to be bought. Yeah, we need to be innovative and come up with innovative.
Because I was going to say Kumari, but yeah.
We need because we need to be innovative because so that our children, all we need to ensure is parents should ensure that their children have the playtime that they learn through playing. Yeah. And then in primary, maybe this is where we are bringing in the issue of because the schools are closed. So the parents need to make sure that there are more reading materials for their children. Right? They make sure that this is where the government is coming in through the radio programs and say we are going to be broadcasting to children. We are seeing that in the home, the children are everywhere. The parents are also in the home, and then there are issues of food supplies that are dwindling. And so the tensions are rising. And usually some of these tensions may be seen on the children through beating and the like. So we are suggesting that instead of beating the child, parents need to look at other ways of disciplining children, like maybe giving them, making sure that in the first place they do not participate in the activities that are causing problems that bring up discipline issues. Assign them more work. Make them read some books.
Are you proposing that they should assign more work?
What we are saying is the child's mind is a very good mind that should not be put to waste. And when we are looking at ECD, at the primary, at secondary, we should also be aware of what amount of work that they should be given.
Age relevant.
Age relevant.
Dear viewer, we're coming back from this break and we want to talk more about the practicalities and the situation of children. We know that the government has started out rolling lessons on radio, I think soon on TV if they haven't already done that. We want to explore and to see how you can be part of that and how you can facilitate that process for children. Stay with us.
COVID-19 has disrupted the way of life, including the basic and fundamental right to education. It's 4 months now since schools were shut down due to COVID-19. There is an attempt by the Ministry of Education to ensure that children's learning is undisrupted. The attempt is commendable, but as the Every Child in School campaign led by Tega Life International in partnership with ZNCWC and ECOS and other civil societies in Zimbabwe, we have noticed that there are some gaps which needs urgent attention.
Welcome back to your favorite show. Today, where we're focusing on our children and we're saying, how are you coping? How are you making the situation great for everyone? Because as we learned earlier on that the pandemic is a global pandemic. People are being asked to stay in confined activities. We heard that takuramba tichigara nevana sasikhangelane kakhulu, and sometimes it can raise tensions. How do we encourage our parents briefly before we get to talk about education? How do we encourage our parents to be positive about the discipline, to maintain the joy in the home so that things are not too tense out there?
In this situation today, I imagine that many parents are like my mother. They have all these children in the home, so they need to attend to them. Let alone in a family where there are disability issues.
Absolutely.
It means that the mother has to attend to the disabled children, also to the other children. And these raise a lot of tensions and conflicts. So the mother can, during their spare time, get a book. Come here, let us read this book. Read stories. I'm talking about the father, the mother, but the father also has an input. The brother has an input. So it is a shared responsibility to just say, today is you, Nyari, reading, tomorrow is Peter, next day is Mary, and then we go ahead. And also exchange roles with the children. Tomorrow, Judy is reading this book, the next day is this one and this one and this one. That helps.
Absolutely.
Besides reading books, there's storytelling. Tell us what has been happening, what is happening out there. Children like storytelling. Children like to tell us what was happening out there. And it can be exciting to listen in the family. And that takes away some of the tension issues.
Absolutely. I think it's really about you just giving us some key lessons about positive parenting to say, how do we diffuse the situation? And I think for me, it's about that realizing that happiness or sadness, we have the power. We can choose to be happy as a family. We can choose to make do with what we have. Like you're creatively sharing how someone can actually begin to say, oh, today it's you, tomorrow it's you. And then wherever there's a place of conflict, even amongst the children themselves, to actually diffuse situations and making sure that you are fair. Because I think sometimes parents may not realize that sometimes they are also acting in manners that may not be fair. Maybe this child is always tasked to do you do this? And it's usually probably the boring thing. And then the other child feels like they're. So I think just trying to be rotating and making sure that our children have access to, to everything that everything and what the other children are having. But I don't want for us to center on this. I want us to move into the issue of education. I know Take a Life, ZNCWC, and Ikozi, they submitted a petition to Parliament recently around the issues of education. Maybe to educating, what has been the government doing around education, and what is the situation that the NGOs are raising around the areas where there is need for improvement?
I will start by quoting our permanent secretary in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, Ms. Tabela, who said, the child's mind is so precious to allow it to be idle for too long. That means government and the through ministry have some efforts that they are doing to ensure that we are doing something for our children. One of the most important things that they've done is to introduce the radio programs. And the radio programs have already started, and I hope parents are aware. And I think this program is also part of the awareness that we are doing as civil society to ensure that parents are plugging into the radio programs, and will actually give feedback through various means to say the radio lessons need improvement in this way, that way, that way, and that way. The radio programs are targeting particular grades, and they will continue to improve until every child is catered for through radio programs. And we are saying that as civil society, this is a positive start to ensuring that the child's precious mind is being attended to, is being made active. And what is important now is to ensure that there is quality programs that are shared with to the children. And then how do we know that different parts of the country are receiving these radio programs? I'm thinking of the people in Binga, yeah, and people in Chiredzi, blah blah.
Right.
Yeah, and so we are saying that these people must have radios are a one-way means of communication. We want a two-way means of communication, so that the ministry sends lessons out and you get feedback. So that feedback loop is not yet being seen. So parents need to know how they are going to feedback into the lessons that they are getting. Children do the exercises. when the children are doing the exercises, I'm urging all parents out there to be able to assist the children in, first of all, ensuring that they are there for the radio programs. And secondly,
I want to come back and we really zero in on the practicality of access. As you rightfully said that the ministry has released the lessons. The uptake is what we want to look at. Who is uptaking that? How can we improve on the uptake? Focusing on the parents, focusing on also maybe speaking into what could be done better. Viewers, it was nice having you on the segment. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, we want to talk about how you can practically be part of ensuring that children in your community have access to these radio programs, to television programs, to any other platforms that are available for children's minds to not be idle. Stay with us.
Radio lessons tiri kuinzwa vana vedu vari kudzidza ma-ECD akadzidza last week akadzidza nezvemacolors of our flag nemagrade 2 akadzidzawo nezvescience and technology neabout my body parts vachidzidzawo vana vedu asi wiki rapera musi wekubva Wednesday Thursday vanokwanisa kudzidza nenhau yeweather kuti kuno kwatiri tinoshandisa solar saka weather yakakwidibira ndopa wasiri kukwanisa kudzidza.
Chirongwa chepamaredhiyo chiri kuchinjwa kuti vana vari kudzidza pamaradios. Siu vamwe hatikwanise kudzidza pamaredhios because then tisina maredhiyo achona, matv achona tendisina, then masola achona kuti tikwanise kuridza maredhiyo tinenge tisina. Tatechikumbira masola maredhiyo tikwanise kudzidza nevamwe. Then vamwe vabereki vanawo maredhiyo achona havasi kukwanisa kuti vana vakwanise kudzidza because kunenge kuchidzidzwa kwachona vanenge vachichinja mastations achona kuti vana vakwanise kudzidza. Saka kumbira kuti vabereki vana kunenge kuchidzidzwa vakwanise kuisawo mastation iyayo kuti vana vakwanise kuramba vachidzidza vachienderera mberi nedzidzo.
Welcome back to your show where we are talking about children's issues during the lockdown, and we are assisting parents in how to diffuse situations of frustrations, situations of tensions in the home, how to deal with the kids who are constantly at home over and above the usual need to go outside and play, and also the need to continue education. And we'd already heard that the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education has rolled out, grade relevant, maybe high school relevant radio lessons, and I think as well as TV soon. We just want to now understand the uptake. When I'm talking about uptake, I'm saying who has been having access to the radio programs, and how can parents maximize to make sure that it's just not a radio that's playing, but children are participating and actually are sitting down to know that school has started. So therefore, let's participate.
I've already shared, Nyari, that it is a shared responsibility
Absolutely.
in the family. So everyone in the family has to make sure that the children in school are accessing these lessons. So there is
children at home, you mean?
At home,
yes,
sorry.
yes.
At home.
Yeah.
The teacher in me is coming out.
Yes, I know.
We are saying that the children at home are accessing these lessons. So what we are saying is that we need to make sure that many people are aware of the times when lessons are going to be broadcast. So the family members must prepare the children to be available for these lessons. And there must be someone who helps the children to listen and pick key points that they can follow up, so that the children will be able to understand.
All right.
And then we are saying that we have 16 languages. I hope in the early lower primary and ECD, they need to learn in their mother tongue. So we need to ensure that maybe the other community radios that are dotted around the country are also having programs, that radio lesson programs in the local languages that the children will understand. And Then in terms of the access, we are saying that we have some issues. Not all families have got radios.
And hence the petition.
And hence the petition. Looking at the petition that you have already referred to, we are saying that not every family has a radio, and we are encouraging the government to be able to provide radios for the families to be able to listen to these radio programs. And sometimes, because parents and other family members are not aware of the importance of radio lessons, and let alone that they are already there.
Yeah.
Some people even tune and move
To another
away
radio
to
station.
Another radio station. And that defeats the purpose of the radio lesson. So it is important, like this session is showing, that we need to have the radio lessons for the benefit of the precious mind that we've talked about. So every family member must be aware of the time when these lessons are going to be given, and ensure that the children are going to be available, and also assist in taking some notes which they can follow up. Right. Besides that, we are also saying that there are some areas that do not have electricity. Even in urban areas, there are some areas that have gone for a long time without electricity. Look at some areas in Dotito, look at areas in Binga, look at areas in Chikombezi. They need access. And we need to ensure that all these people are accessing the radio lessons that we are sending out to children. We are also saying that even in towns, there are some areas where electricity has not been received for a long time. We need those areas to also benefit the children in terms of the radio lessons. We are also saying that there are some parents who do not have radios. Let us look at how we can increase the number of radios that are out there so that the children can benefit from these radios.
I just want to chime in and say that in East Africa, I think, was it Ethiopia, where there is a talk of mega radios that are taken to the community. Is there a possibility that maybe we could promote community, learning, but observing, the social distancing, to say if it was possible that a mega radio goes, you spoke about my community radios earlier, a mega radio which can target a number of kids where they can all be learning in one time, or maybe if it's possible per village or something like that. I don't know.
Yes, the initiatives are as many as we are here.
Right.
We can provide as many ideas as is possible.
You heard from Ms. Bore. I think those are fantastic ideas about how we could improve the issue of making sure that every child has access to education during the lockdown, that they have some form of, that mind does not stay idle. But we had that parents, guardians, anybody who is staying with a child should actually encourage time for children to sit down, because I know the temptation right now would be you keep loading the children with homework. When the radio is playing, allow them time to listen, allow them time to actually do the lessons. And in places where, there is lack, encourage some kids to, it takes a village, right? So whatever you can do to encourage kids in your neighborhood to have access to what is available. And again, the recommendation to the government through Parliament to make sure that every child has access to education during the lockdowns where schools are not yet 100% open. We know that the ministry is working tirelessly, but we are saying, can more money be dedicated so that no child remains behind? We don't want to lose any other children. We already had enough children out of school. So we are saying, let's not allow this time to really take kids out of school. So if you enjoyed this show, shout out to us, give us a shout out on our social media platforms, on WhatsApp, on Twitter, on Facebook. We always want to hear from you. Keep the positive mind. We know there's a lot of young people and mature people who are working together to make sure that their communities are looked after. We know there are soup kitchens that are running, people are being fed. Whatever it is, let's look after each other. Let us be the solution that we are. Until next time, have a good one.